Over the years, I've had the experience of working with some pretty sweet cameras, such as the Red or the Blackmagic Cinema camera, or even like a Canon 5D. I never got to fully own those cameras. So today, I wanted to talk about the cameras that I've owned and just the general experience I've had with them. So starting with this first camera here, we have the HP M425. It has a whopping 5 megapixels. It's obviously a dated camera, as you can tell. It was the first camera that I got, and I actually didn't ask for a camera. I got it for Christmas, I think, and so it was a complete surprise, and it's kind of what got me started with taking pictures and videos. I didn't really take anything too eventful with this camera, but
nice.
I generally just took it camping with my family, and then me and my brother were trying to make some like skate videos when we were getting older. It was a good camera to get started with, and it definitely is what drove me into the photography and videography, so I do appreciate this camera quite a bit. So after the Canon, I ended up getting an Insignia camera. I can't quite remember what the name of it was, but it was like a little flip-up camera, more geared towards videography, which is what I started to realize that I was a lot more into. So I ended up getting that. I think that was around the same time that I got into kind of visual effects and kind of like movie effects, basically. So I started making like mini films to play with the effects with it. I think this had like 720p. That was kind of like the big thing at the time, so it was a big reason why I wanted to get it. I did enjoy using the camera, but the flip-up screen proved to be a little vulnerable, and I ended up, I think it fell and it like broke it off basically, so that was kind of the end of that camera. So after the Insignia, I ended up getting a Fujifilm. It was a fine pick, something kind of an amateur, beginner amateur kind of camera. I honestly don't remember what I even took or recorded on that camera, so it kind of shows you how memorable that camera was. This is the Canon T2i. I wanted to move into something a little bit more professional-ish, and this is when DSLRs were becoming really big for videography and people started using them a lot more. So it was kind of a struggle between deciding if I wanted a DSLR or a camcorder, but I decided that a DSLR would kind of give me photo and video, and it was proving to be pretty useful and really good quality with everyone, so I wanted to get it. So I ended up getting it, and it was honestly, there was a learning curve to it, but it was really fun to learn, and it got me way more into photography than I was before. So I am happy that I ended up getting it. And this is kind of when I started making a lot of longboard videos with my friends, because I started getting into videography more. I kind of wanted to film more like sports, and my friends started getting into longboarding, so there's like 50 videos of shitty longboard videos that I have, but they're on my Vimeo if you want to see them. But it definitely helped me push my boundaries with editing and title or motion titles, and then also just videography work. This camera proved to be very valuable to me for quite a while. Unfortunately, the shutter, something is wrong with the shutter. When I take a photo, I only get about half the photo. The rest of the screen is just black. But I probably overused its shutters count because cameras kind of do have a life expectancy. From there, I was offered a job to take pictures of a dance competition. So it was like 3 days long. It was like 400 dances a day or something like that. It was pretty insane. I was taking like 10 to 15 photos per dance. So I wanted to get something a little bit better and more reliable. So I ended up getting the Canon 7D Mark I. I was super happy with that camera. It was a little bit of a step up from the T2i, a little bit more into the professional cameras. It had the CF Express cards, so I liked that. I could depend on it a little bit more. It had the top screen, and it just kind of gave overall a slightly better picture. So I used that for quite a bit, but it ended up getting stolen. My car was broken into. They smashed the window and then took my bag, and there's quite a bit in there, so I'm pretty pissed. From there, I invested in a Canon 6D. It's pretty similar to the Canon 70, to be honest, to any Canon lineup camera aside from like the flagship ones. They're all very similar. This had the flip out screen though, and it still had the screen on top, and also the rolling wheel, which you don't really get with the T series, which was pretty nice. So it definitely did what I needed it to do to continue the dance competitions, and I just kind of wanted to have a better camera than the T2i. I was kind of ready to move on from that. So this was a pretty good camera for quite some time. Somewhere in between those lineup of cameras, I actually bought a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. It was the first one that they made. I think it was like 2.7K, something like that. But it was raw video, so I was amped about that. I started getting into color grading a lot more, so I kind of wanted to shoot more raw, so I had more options when it came to color grading. It was a really fun camera to play with, but it wasn't the most convenient, and I was a little strapped for cash, and this was about $1,000, so I quickly sold that off. And then from there, after the dance competitions, after doing quite a bit of them, with the last paycheck that I got, I ended up investing in a Sony A6300, which is recording this video right now. This camera, it's given me everything that I needed. It had 120 FPS. I was super into slow-mo at the time, so that was kind of the main thing that I wanted. It shot 4K, so it was a little bit future-proof, and the picture quality, I really like Sony's color science. A lot of people shit on it, but I actually really like their photos and the quality that it gives. Canon always gives a very trusted, good photo, but I feel like Sony just kind of has this edge that this edge of detailers. I'm just really into Sony, basically. I've really only bought 2 lenses for it. I got the kit lens, which was a 16-50, and then also what I'm filming on is a Samyang 12mm. I kind of got stuck in wide angle lenses, and I'm just a big fan of like wide angle. So I've been shooting with that like non-stop for the last 4 years, and like now I'm starting to realize it's time to expand my lens collection, get a little bit more telephoto lenses. But yeah, so let's move on to the film cameras. This is the Minolta X700. This was a gift for me, and it was my first film camera. I wanted to get into film, so got this as a gift, and I love it. It's probably my most favorite camera out of all of them, even though it is film, not digital. It's just been a lot of fun, and the quality has been, I don't know, I'm just like stunned by some of the shots that it's got. It's been really great. It's not exactly in one piece right now. The advanced lever kind of stopped moving, so I thought maybe I could take it apart and see what happened, and took a little too many pieces out to put it back together. But I do have a manual for it that shows me where all the pieces going, where the pieces go. The plan is to put it back together and then ship it off to get it fixed. But super good camera. I do highly recommend any Minolta X700 series because they've just been so great and so trustworthy, and I love the quality of them. Yeah, highly recommend. This is the Minolta X7A, so it's basically the X700, just slightly newer version. Really the only difference is the top here, just this piece, but it really doesn't change anything. I was going on a trip up north, and the Minolta, the old one was broken, so I wanted to get a new one, and I knew I couldn't get that fixed in time. So I ended up finding this one on Kijiji for like 50 bucks, and I knew it'd be fine as long as it worked. So I went and just made sure the shutter and everything worked, and I brought it on the trip, and it pulled through. But it is also broken now too with the advanced lever. It's so trustworthy. Is it me? This is the newest addition to my film cameras. This is the Yashica Electro 35. I saw this camera and I've wanted it for a while. I just really like the aesthetic of it. It's kind of big and bulky, but I just like the look of it. So I ended up finding it on Kijiji and getting it, and I'm not exactly thrilled with it. The quality of the photos are okay, but I'm still kind of learning the focusing system. It's a little bit different. I don't know if you guys can see this. Okay, so there is a slight diamond in the middle. Anyway, there's a slight yellow diamond in the middle, and that's what you use to focus it, and I'm finding it pretty challenging. I've gotten a few good photos out of this, but I can't say I'm as impressed with this as I was with the Minoltas. But I also developed all my own film from this camera, so it might just be the developing. It might just be me again. Now, I've also owned the original GoPro and then a GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition. Those were amazing cameras. Honestly, like if you're looking for a camera and you're not too into like DSLRs or anything, you want video, you want good quality, I think a GoPro is like a great investment. They're pretty cheap for the quality that you're getting out of them. The GoPro one, it's not great now, but it was great for its time. I thought it was really cool to have a camera like this, smaller than the size of my palm. But I ended up selling that one, and then that's what got me the GoPro 4 Hero Black. So it had like kind of the slow-mo and everything. I was like thrilled with the camera. It was really good, and that's kind of what kept me into the sports videography and just kind of filming myself too. So I really enjoyed that camera. But on my trip to BC, it was in my bag. They told me my bag was too heavy. So I put the GoPro along with a Minolta lens into my luggage, and what do you know, it got stolen by the time I arrived to BC. Is it me? So I knew I still wanted a GoPro. They're really nice second cameras to have. So I was looking at getting another one, and then that's when GoPro came out with the GoPro Fusion. So it's a 360 camera, and I was watching a couple of the clips, and like it's just so cool and so innovative. You can basically just set up the shot and you don't have to worry about getting anything, because later you end up framing the shot. So I ended up getting this camera, and it's been a bit of a pain. There's a lot of large files. The camera's had a lot of like malfunctions, so I have to reset the camera a lot. The images are just like so cool. This is like a great POV shot. So I like to take it around on like trips or snowboarding or any activity that I'm doing and film it, because it looks so good. It's almost like a third person viewing from a perspective, and then it also cuts out the pole. So we'll film it, and then when I stitch it together, it cuts out the pole. So I've been super happy with this. A little bit frustrating at times, but it was well worth it. I definitely enjoy it. And last but not least, my phone. As with everyone, I have my phone on me all the time. Sometimes it's the only camera I can get out, and honestly, it sometimes takes really great photos. I was super impressed with the iPhone 6 before I actually had it. I saw a couple friends that had it, and their photos looked really good for its time. So I ended up getting it, and then that kind of got me into the Apple ecosystem, and now I have the XR, and the XR takes great video, great pictures. I wouldn't say it's quite on the same level as a mirrorless or DSLR, but like you almost can't tell. It's been really good. So like honestly, your best camera is the one that you have on you, which is cliche as fuck, but it's true. So those are all the cameras that I've had over the years. I'm curious to know what kind of cameras you had growing up. What was the good decisions and what were the bad decisions? Leave a comment down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave it a thumbs up. I will greatly appreciate it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys.